That's my best Mogwai impression I can do. It's actually harder than you think. I love the theme song for this movie. Hey everyone, welcome back to Mr. Teach Film Preach, and today we are going to continue with our 12 Days of Christmas watch films. My number 9th choice. Already on number 9, this is crazy, making our way through this list. And for my 9th choice for the best Christmas movies to watch of all time is Gremlins. It is directed by Dante and was written by Chris Columbus, same writer who also did The Goonies. And this movie makes about just as much sense as that movie does. Gremlins is a mid-80s comedy horror Christmas film, and it's got, again, a weird combination of these different genres smashed into one film, and it really is awesome. It is a really funny movie. Gremlins is about a young boy who is in high school that at Christmas time receives a gift from his salesman traveling father that is looks like a little pet. It looks like a little Furby. Remember those Furbies from the 90s, guys? Like, I swear they based off of the Mogwai for sure. Like, look at the two, compare them. Yeah, they got inspiration from Gremlins. Definitely. Billy gets this present for Christmas from his dad, which is a little Mogwai, furry little hamster, a little bit bigger than a hamster. He's very cute, he's sweet, and his name is Gizmo. And Gizmo was introduced to the world. Very cute. The Baby Yoda of the 80s. And it has 3 simple rules. You are not supposed to get this thing wet. You're not supposed to get it in direct sunlight. And whatever you do not feed it after midnight. And the consequences of breaking those rules is what comes about from this film. This town gets taken over by these crazy morphed Mogwais that have turned into these horrible, scaly, ugly creatures called Gremlins, and they are terrorizing the town, killing people and wreaking havoc, and having a lot of fun while doing it, and laughing like crazy hyenas. Oh, kind of hurt my neck laughing like that. When I was a little kid, I saw this movie maybe at like 5-6 years old, and I was actually scared of the Gremlins. I loved the Mogwai, but when they became the Gremlins, I was like scared of them, which is funny now. If you watch it, they're actually really funny, and like, even though they're like homicidal and they're like, kill Billy, and they're like trying to kill Billy the whole time and destroy the whole town, they're really funny and comedic puppets. This movie is so funny. I watch this movie once a year because it is so ridiculous and stupid and horribly 80s. It's just absolutely wonderful. Executive produced by Steven Spielberg, written by Chris Columbus, directed by Dante. It's got Corey Feldman in it. Jonathan Banks from Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Community. He has a small role as a young officer in this. As I was watching it and his face shows up, he's so distinctive looking that as soon as he appeared on screen, I went, there's Mike from Breaking Bad. That's awesome. This film is a ton of fun. It is hilarious. It is set at Christmas time in this small town that's get taken over by these alien sort of creatures. It is so funny. These creatures are supposed to be menacing and scary, and a little bit they are, but they're absolutely hysterical. Like, we're in the bar scene and they're drinking beer and throwing popcorn and playing pool and throwing darts at each other and laughing and screaming and getting drunk, and there's a jazz one sitting in the corner, Stripe, who's the leader of them, and he's got a gun, and he uses a gun on other gremlins. He literally shoots a gremlin in the face in this film, and you're like, oh. And again, this movie toes this line of, is it a kid's film or an adult film? Is it kind of both? I'm not really sure. This movie is like PG, I think, or PG-13, and it definitely has that line of like, these creatures like kill people. They run over Mr. Futterman and his wife. They shoot an old woman out the window on her little track, goes up the stairs. They throw saws, burn down a whole theater. These creatures are insane. And this movie, if you don't know what this movie is and you go into this movie blind, you're probably going to be like, what the hell am I watching? It is a Christmas film. It's set at Christmas time. It's during the holiday season. It's got Christmas music playing throughout the whole thing. It's decorated with all the lights. It is a definite Christmas movie. This is a movie from 1984. The CGI is terrible. The creatures are just big puppets. Did you know that Howie Mandel was the voice of Gizmo? I know, random, right? I love the mom in this movie. I love how badass she is, and she takes on these three or four gremlins in her kitchen in her house. One gets in the blender, she stabs one to death, and very horror-esque like, and that was really cool. She puts one in the microwave and it explodes. There's some really great horror-esque, creature, grotesque, scary moments in this film. Even at the end when Stripe and he's like melting from the sunlight, really cool. Like kind of like Raiders of the Lost Ark when the Ark of the Covenant gets open and all the Nazis' faces melt. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Again, Steven Spielberg. It feels exceptionally strange and weird, but it's also very sweet and tender, especially with the scenes with Gizmo and Billy. I love when Gizmo's driving in that little car at the end and then he saves them. Bright light, bright light! It's go, go, go. As soon as Gizmo gets introduced, this film just goes the whole time and it never stops. It never gives up. And I like that about this movie. Now, the CGI is a little bit shoddy. It's the 80s. The dialogue is pretty cheesy. And this film isn't really trying to create too much and say too much besides just being a fun creature flick. If you can just put this movie aside for what it is a great Christmas movie. It is a hilarious comedy. It's a great horror homage. One of those movies that you could put on at Christmas time or you could put on in the middle of the summer. You don't need to be at Christmas to watch this film. Gremlins is probably one of the ones on this list with maybe one or two other films that I would watch outside of Christmas time. I love like the Gremlins just always throw shit at people. There's some like pseudo racism in this movie that's like, I mean, this movie was made in the 80s. Everyone was a little wired back then. If you wrote The Goonies and you wrote Gremlins, that's a pretty big accomplishment. Those are movies that are pretty regarded in the film industry and in the film world. Critics love these movies, audiences love these movies, and they both have stood the time of being cult classics. You got to give Chris Columbus the respect when it's due. He's created some great films. He's done Home Alone. He's done Rent. He's done all these other genres, and he's quite a good filmmaker and writer. Even though his movies oftentimes don't make any sense, and Gremlins is not an exception to that rule, but if you can look past and just accept this movie for what it is and just be okay with it, you'll feel that this film really serves a nice combination of comedy and suspense and creature flick at Christmas time. That's really fun for everyone to enjoy. And this is a film that I love to show people that maybe are a little bit younger than me, and to show them that, like, yeah, just because it's not a great visually looking film and they were limited because of the technology and the creatures, but it doesn't matter as long as you have a fun story, a good plot, decent characters, and make it a fun film. If you love horror, if you love comedies, if you love creature films, this is definitely one for you. If you haven't already seen it, I'm pretty shocked because this is a cultural, huge film. Even though it's like a B grade sort of era, it's well done for what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and give Gremlins a B. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you like this video, please click like down below, subscribe. That'd be amazing. Yes, and it's so much fun to talk about these movies. Come back for more 12 Days of Chris Must-Watch films. Now we're getting to the top tier, the best ones of the best, and I can't wait to talk about them some more. Merry Christmas, and as always, let's get taught.
'Cause you never can tell. There just might be a gremlin in your house.